Oh, there was a one game in like SCA where they had like an ultra kill or something because the Cole just illuminated through and it was like, thank you for all the kills. Yeah, it was amazing.
but not at the rune fight, right?
It was close enough. It was a bit like, yeah, it was like sub 1 minute.
Well, there's a lot of that damage getting pumped out here in the bottom lane. I still think Save is like the only person I know that can make Lion work right now. That high arrow just feels very awful to play. Yeah,
it doesn't feel good for sure. You like a slow game, but think about how VP played that previous game. It was slow in nature. VP, they're starting this bot lane with a tri-lane. GPK diving behind the tower already. They're so aggressive.
I mean, you're playing Viper. You kind of have to play that way, don't you?
Yeah, so the way Invoker is actually one of the few heroes with good regen to deal with Viper. So GPK, to offset that kind of laning phase that presence Invoker has, he's straight behind the tower, try and get that level advantage and just bully him early on. So yeah, I like the kind of adaptation to the Viper lane that GPK is bringing.
I feel like the bottom lane is being very dominated right now with the fact that you've got Toddle, you've got the Lion, and this puck has not really been able to go forward and harass this Tidehunter at all, really. I mean, I say that, he pops forward, but it is because the Coddle has left. They will join again.
Yeah, so due to this tri-lane and bot lane, they've allowed Wraith to get these early levels top, but then also they've had this hard camp spawn bottom. They've pushed it. I think the negative repercussions of this is the fact that Unique gets to play in front of their tower, but the trade-off is your bot lane also gets to play in front of their tower. So they're giving their Tidehunter a lane, and they're like, you know, we'll sacrifice top a little bit because Wraith can Coddle, they don't really care. They push out the lane anyways.
I think one of the big things that I'm a bit worried about here as we watch the two Bignum and Night and all just flapping each other in the lane. The fact that, you know, you've got Nightfall on this Wraith King and you've got Kingslayer on the Keeper of the Light, so you know that you're going to be able to just leave, you know, Nightfall in a lane somewhere, or not even in a lane, right? You see the jumping off that spot as Ghostik starts getting jumped upon. A big hit. Not quite enough damage just yet, but they'll turn their attention now over to Bignum. He does have the jig. I think that's, they're really making good use of this idea of the Coddle. Not just, you know, we talk about the Chocolate Magic all the time, but the fact that, you know, can just place this Wraith King off to the jungle, or even like pushing the lanes out with the Skelly Boys, and then just recall him into any fight whenever you need him.
Yeah, it's a really strong combo, but it's a product of the fact that Keeper of the Light, he enables literally any core in the game. You know, who loves having this free mana? I know, the hero is actually so stupid. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if after the group stage ends, he gets flat hard with like some nerfs, because he just does too much. Like, everything you just said about that Wraith King, it's simply because of the Coddle giving him all those accelerants. But
I feel like especially with the Wraith King, because he is so strong right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Too,
yeah,
it just makes it even more impressive to like watch.
Self-sufficient core is also a very kind of hard to come by, especially with, you know, lifesteal it being so bad. That's why Wraith King equally thrives in this type of meta. Again, it's so slow, isn't it, at the start of these games?
They are, yeah.
I want to see proper deaths and, you know, action. And this reminds me of the previous game where they're kind of dying top, but not really dying top.
There's no hard committals yet. I don't think we saw hard committal until around like the 5-minute mark. So
I want someone to misplay. That's what I'm looking for. They're just being too disciplined.
Being very disciplined. Although the bottom lane, Palantimos is taking a lot of harass. Waning Rift coming out from the puck, though. DM trying to chase him. Not quite enough damage, though. And he'll be south and go right back to lane.
Yeah, I lied. He didn't. Oh, come on. All right, who do you think?
See, you got one job here. You're supposed to give me the expert.
Yeah.
That was not.
Someone's going to die shortly. All right, Moxie. That's the analysis I'm going to bring to you right now.
All right. I mean, you're not wrong.
Thank you. Again, playing safe with the predictions. Kyle taught me everything he knew.
Boo. Don't be a coward, T. Come on now.
All right, all right. Okay, non-cowardly prediction. I want to say that CK will be dying first in this game.
Okay, all right. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, thank you. Oh, come on.
No, you're
I'm not watching the game now. Yeah, hold on. Not biased. I just made a prediction. Oh.
I think.
As you slow down your words in the hope.
No, I'm watching the team fight.
Okay.
No, I'm watching the team fight because I don't want to, you know, have to jump around too much. I think definitely it's going to be. It's going to be Nature's Prophet who dies first.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's
oh,
my strong second. No, that's my strong second, okay?
Sir, please. please. I need you to pick one and make a commitment.
All right, you know who's not going to die? GPK. Look at that. 48 CS, 5 denies. He is utilizing that jungle to great effect because Invoker doesn't really apply any lane pressure. He's a hero that survives in the mid lane, but doesn't really pressure that Viper. And is going to be a very strong GPK showing, potentially going for the Atos rush and trying to get into the game. He likes to play active heroes, and Viper isn't really that hero, so maybe a bot into Atos could be his route into the game. All right, CK, you're going to die anytime soon with my prediction.
Palantimos, screw your prediction, Tico. To go, hit these creeps. That life is going to be good. Kingslayer, though, is getting chased away a little bit here in the top lane. And it is a bit later now, too. We've reached past the 5-minute bounty move.
Dire's structures
no
are
real
fortified.
hard aggression coming. But you talk about GPK, you know, he's having the time of his life. What do you do against this Viper? How do you solve this right now if you're unique? You can't do anything really to slow him down, because if you throw bodies into that lane, although we do have a little bit of action breaking out here. So save. Gonna make both of us look wrong, because he is gonna be the first blood. Player happily will take that. So a little bit of battle between the supports here. Some harass going over onto Ghostik.
We just went for the harder prediction. We went for a core prediction. You know, naturally the farmer's a tankier hero, so we're just trying to look, you know, even more smart.
It's I'm sure as far as cores go, I'm sure it's going to be nature's profit.
Yes,
It goes
that's
down.
how we keep the predictions alive. Very smart.
It's fine. But bottom lane, the jump forward down here onto DM plus the waning rift here. Now again, he's pretty tanky. Difficult to try to get this kill on DM. He's just walking it off in the top lane, though. More plays being used over onto Ghostik. They have nothing to cancel out the TP, though, and not quite enough damage.
You asked earlier about how do you shut down the Viper, and it's kind of hard to, simply because of the support you're bringing to the game. A Puck and a Monkey King, they don't really have this early damage, and against Viper, you need a bit of, you know, science to bring to the fight, and they don't really have that. So they're going to have to allow this Viper to farm up and do pretty much whatever he wants, and then try and punish when he comes under the tower, when he starts trying to apply kind of
Radiant's
forward pressure.
top tower is under
Right
attack.
now, look at him, 3.2k net worth. There is nothing you can do to him.
But isn't that a bit terrifying, the fact that you're just letting a Viper just farm? You can't do anything against it. I mean, I understand, like, with what they have on the board, it's much worse to send bodies over there and then feed kills as well.
Yeah, I think the play Unique's looking for is they're going to try and adopt the philosophy of VP from that previous game, is maybe get a little bit greedy on your cores. Don't try and cross that river and take these early fights. Get yourself, you know, 2 or 3 items on all cores. Allow for this Wraith King just to AFK jungle. Allow the Viper to AFK jungle. There isn't instant tower pressure coming from VP, so it does allow Unique to kind of double down on doing nothing. And that's what we are most likely going to see here. Just hit creep, wait for VP to maybe overextend, and that's when you can punish the kind of lack of big damage that VP brings, unless, you know, until, sorry, the Wraith King really has 2 or 3 items himself.
Right now, Wraith King's having a really nice time. Okay, unfortunately, okay, sitting a little bit behind 3.1. Not the end of the world, obviously, not discrepancy, but I do feel like CK is one of those heroes that if he starts to fall behind, it is just so hard for him.
It's also such an awkward game for this viewer, because if you look at him right now, he's trying to go for this Orchid. This is not a good Orchid game where if you ever go onto a Viper, a Tide, or a Wraith King, do you ever feel confident just committing to that engagement? So this will be a Furin that's going to be looking to kill the supports first, and that could be a great factor. If you take away that coddle, remove that kind of global presence from a slower lineup that is Viper, Tide, and Wraith King, it could bode well, but it does put you in an awkward position of we have to try and ignore the cores. And we just mentioned we can't really shut down the jungle farm, so there's a lot of lack of how do we deal with the cores coming out right.
Well, they're about to have to deal with the core very soon, because GPK has made his first rotation down to the bottom area, and they're just shoving out the slip.
And Unique, with a level 4 Puck at minute 9, there isn't really much tower defense. You can maybe try and just throw out an orb to annoy them, but with the overwhelming presence that V has in this bot lane, it is quite scary. It's even scary to deal with this defense.
Does look like they were trying to make some moves on the Monkey King, knowing that they had several people on the bottom lane, but be able to grab anything here. Slayer is forced to teleport out. Tower should belong over to the side of VP, and you know, they're making good moves in the top lane too, though. They're making a trade. They realize, okay, we don't have the damage to deal with these big tanky boys. Let's just take a tower of our own.
If anything, Unique are actually coming out on top. They're the ones taking the tower first, and VP, they didn't have a tower here. So potentially Unique could maybe smoke that back down into this area, but realistically, with that kind of level disadvantage, they have to accept the trade and continue farming. VP will kind of mirror the play, but it's a little bit slower than Unique, surprisingly.
The hunt save. They've really hugging that tower though. His Spidey sense is definitely tingling. So
the nice thing about these early tower takes, it does allow for this safe lane to become your position 4 farm lane. Often you'll see kind of save or any of these kind of greedier fours want to lap up this farm, and they'll just sit here happily trying to hold the wave as best as possible to get to that one big activating item you want it for, be it the Flea Dagger, or if you're Yapsor and Aghanim's.
Nobody quite plays 4 like Yapsor. The fact that he has a verb named after him, Yapsoring the lane, like that says something right there. Kingslayer, though, they've got the Atos online. This is a dead puck. In just a moment, we'll let Nightfall get the final hit. And the rotation is on now towards this mid tower. Ooh, we got some puck bones going on.
Think he's completed it yet, or?
Well, he's got to win the game to get the
All right.
bones. Bones for the Bone God.
And now instantly pressuring mid. You can see Lion still just farming top. They'll recall him if needed. Oh, there it is. Hey, buddy.
They have Dust, they have the Hex, they've got the damage, and there's a Ravage to boot too. They'll be able to chase down Ghostik. Down he goes. Going right back here to the tower.
It's the fact that this coral, he runs at you, and you have no idea what's happening. It's like, who's coming in? Oh, it's the Lion. Oh, he has the Dust. And then the Ravage on top just to clean up 2 cores for 1 Ravage. And then instantly back up the farming. They don't even waste any time here trying to go for the tower. They value more the 2 or 3 minute window that will have farming up. I think if you're Unique, you might be looking to go, there's no Finger, there's no Ravage. Maybe we can start poking at this tower. But with a Keeper of Light and a Viper, that will still be pretty hard.
That and the fact that, like, where's your damage? You talked about it earlier. These cores, they just... Sorry, not the cores, rather, like the supports generally. It's the support that's going to be making the rotation with your offlaner and trying to just get these kills, but it's very difficult. Not designed for that particular style of play.
Yeah, they're kind of like tempo setters, where they want to be utilizing objectives to be the reason why VP react. And when you have so many heroes on VP's lineup that will happily defend a tower, it's hard for Unique to really get behind that one core and go, yeah, let's go take this fight. And oh, look at this. And here's the Coddle. Wait for a second. Oh, surprise, there's a Lion there. And wait for it. Oh, this is the beautiful part. Ghostik TP's into the Ravage, unfortunately, and then dies as well.
Oh, that was a finger kill too. Oh, look at that.
Look at him. He's like, yes, I
look
did it.
Look at the giggles. I love it.
Oh. The euphoria of killing someone in the...
Oh, I think it's also the fact that you got the finger off, right?
Yeah, it's
you
true.
Get that little extra.
Did he ping it? He has got 1 stack though. He's a happy lad now.
Yeah, that's a good way to start off the game.
Are scanning.
And now Unique, because of that aggressive play and the lack of their ability to really move to a tower, they're really scared to do anything. Sure, they're smoking up right now, but this smoke has to be so clean. They need to find like the perfect jump. They have to look for this Lion or this Coddle, and then from there they can maybe enter the fight.
Feels like they're just kind of delta splitting now.
Yeah, that smoke was like, guys, do we actually have the damage, guys? And they're like, no, not really. Like the Furin's very close to Orchid. They might find Save.
Oh, the Hex comes out immediately, Boundless thrown out. Save is gonna get stuck in the trees. Does have the Falling Blade though, and he's still just, look at the amount of time that they're taking to chase him down. Kingslayer's already here. They're ready to re-engage.
He didn't giggle over that one though. He wasn't so happy.
He still got a little smile.
Oh, that's a little one here.
This is gonna be fun. We're gonna get to do the who has the best smile here in the deep. Sure. There we go. That's a good red button for when ESL
3
days are.
easy points. Imagine getting kicked from a team but having the best smile.
Why would you get kicked because you have the best smile? What?
I don't think smiles correlate to good Dota performance.
I think smiles indicate that you're having a great time.
That's actually true.
And if you're a stone cold killer and you're smiling about and you're having the greatest time of your life, it just makes it real natural.
VP grouping up in the mid lane. They have net worth advantage on Wraith and Viper, and Unique, they don't really defend towers that well. I think it's pretty much Puck to be the world in that department. And when VP are able to set the tempo, that's where Unique, they're going to be looking to struggle. I think that previous smoke that they just made, they need to have a bit more, like, even if you die with that smoke, they need to do something to stop VP from farming. And they just have to accept that Heroes are going to die, but as long as they make the game a little bit more awkward. I think there's patience from them that they adjust the farms. Fits VP's playstyle too well.
It always feels like VP is sitting in the driver's seat a lot of the game. You bring up a good point too. The fact that their deep push is just not really great on the side of Unique. Something that BSJ has consistently talked about is that
fundamental.
Like, it's just so important. Oh, in comes Save. Lion is here. The Viper is just swimming around here. Doesn't seem to care. Finger comes out, gets the kill over onto Ghostik, and they're just chasing down Palantimos. He is just so slow here. There's too much lockdown. He's just one more hit. DPK will get the kill.
That's a pretty solid tip coming from Kingslayer. I think I would rate that like a 7 out of 10. You know, you're saying that you bought this orchid, but for what? Save then
orchid
tipping.
For what?
Exactly. You know, Save coming in with a second tip to follow. You know, going GPK. Thank you for joining this squad. You know, Gambit, very happy.
And you're really getting a lot out of this.
I do really read into tips quite a lot. I think, yeah, Save is very happy that his mid laner wants to play Viper. A lot of mid laners nowadays want to be active, and he's just thanking his mid lane for going, thank you for being the guy that will play what the team needs.
You should make like a YouTube series where you take all the tips that are going on in the DPP and you give us the lore behind them. I would actually watch that.
That's true. You know, I can get that going.
I would also like to hear voices, though. Can you do voices too? You could also get Cap to do the other voices.
No, I think
very talented.
Yeah, Cap's the one with the voice acting career, not me.
Bottom lane, this puck is just poking, but
he's actually
not going to be able to get away. He's just a little bit timed off here, or rather Save was right on time.
I love the fact that when there wasn't the Shaman available from VP, they needed some instant lockdown on a support for this puck. Even if it's a support, we've seen how, you know, Poppy on Secret, when he has this elusive puck playing so in your face, and you don't have that stun, it's so hard to deal with. And VP, they have this Lion, they're always going to have to shut him down in the early portion of the game.
Viper.
How did you stop him from farming?
He's got a Hood of Defiance. He's a big old boy, and that's going to be a smoke. Coming out from the side of VP, they can recall.
Look at the mini-map right now. Look at the sea of sentries. Unique cannot make any aggressive plays right now. I really hope that they group up and take a proper fight. This top tier 2 fight earlier, it was only a 3v5.
Not looking like you're going to get that nice fight that you're looking for. Dreamcoil does get him out, but they're all within range. It doesn't even matter. Viper Strike comes out. They just literally stand there. They don't move, T. They literally just stand there. They're like, okay.
Any tips going though? No tips.
Okay. Not this time.
And the reason for the lack of tips here is VP know that they were smoking for the play, and they realize that because of that, it's not really tip worthy because it's their proactive move. Tips are best utilized when you actually react to a play and come out on top, because you're taking their enemy shot calling and going, ha, this was so bad, we turned it around. So that's when tips really do hit the hardest.
Excellent, excellent. I'm writing notes about this. I will be a pro by the end of this from listening about how to properly tip.
And also,
etiquette.
You only have so many tips in the game. You have to make sure it hits the hardest.
Can you coach some of the South American players on this? Because they like to throw those bad boys out all willy-nilly a lot of the time.
You meet Tulane and you're like, I'm laning against him, tip. It's like, no. You got to hold the tip.
Even Bait, actually. Bait, I've watched a lot of their games recently, but I know that Duster is very liberal.
Oh, I've played against him in some pubs. He loves tipping me for some reason, you know.
You have to give us the lore behind that.
I'm just bad, and he's wasting his tips on me. I already know I'm bad.
Eh?
Yeah, exactly. I've got like near 2 million Dota shards. You know, you want to keep tipping me, boy? I'm gonna be rich.
I do like the way that they're playing with GPK showing in lane. You've got Save hiding off in the corner because I feel like they might try to make moves, but at the same time, I don't think you can make a move on GPK.
You can't really make a move unless you are 5, and that's where I think we keep touching on the idea of why Keep Fight is so strong. Look, already Save now in the bot lane, backing up his boys. Viper, he's got the boots to travel, so he can quickly TP to mid, push that out, and then soon he'll be recalled back into that bot lane if needed to help with the fight. Unique, they have to make a team play once they get to their big items. I think Invoker, he just completed his BKB. The CK, much, so it's hard to really comment. I won't lie. I was optimistically going to be like, all right, Invoker's got the BKB. The CK's got the BK. No, okay, he has it. He's got an armor.
He's got the can-do attitude.
He's got the charisma. You know, he's got everything going for him. But it's such a hard CK game.
It is.
In the idea of you're a hero that pops ult and you want to blow up a hero quick. You don't blow up the Viper quick. You don't blow up the Tide quick. And even if you blow up the Wraith King quick, he has a second life. So it's all about Unique having the precision of baiting out the Ravage, baiting out maybe a bad recall, and then suddenly pivoting to, you know, a different pickoff. And the way that Unique is playing right now, I think they've decided that they don't have that vision to be able to make these types of intricate plays. So they are just going to keep waiting, and maybe VP, when they go to Roshan, or they go to an area of the map that's quite condensed, they can start using Coil, they can use Wukong, and the kind of the global presence of the Furion. But it's still a waiting game.
It's a position for Monkey King. So yes, you have the Wukongs. Yes, you have the Spoon Coil on your position 5 puck. Like, where's your damage coming from against these big tanky boys who have, you know, Hoods of Defiances and whatnot?
It's a very good question, Moxie. And I think Unique are going to have to wait for about 3 items each for it. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. But like, it's the point of their best way of fighting right now. Like, you can never ignore a fight, right? You have to at least try and take one key fight. I think utilizing the big spells that you have on Unique, you allow for maybe the misstep from VP. You know, if there isn't the Ravage, if there isn't the Finger, suddenly it's the Viper just kind of getting kited. That's where you can play around that. But it doesn't sound great, you know. Is there a win probability? I'm sure it's going to be pretty dire favored.
So difficult. We talked about this earlier on, that when a CK starts to fall a little bit behind, it's very difficult for him to start bouncing back up again, especially when this Wraith King has had such a time. And then, of course, you've got a Viper who's just massive safe. Poke does pop. He's already getting dragged in by Palantimos, so he is going to be the sacrificial lamb here. And again, a 5v5 does look very scary for the side of Unique, but taking out this Lion definitely will set the odds a little bit more in their favor.
Radiant.
Now they continue.
Oh, I hear a Ravage over on the backside. The jump forward. DP, they're ready to fight. The buyback now over onto Lion Slayer, trying to run away over here on the side. You managed to get a nice stream coil up. But again, look at them. They don't move ever, T. They just stand there. They're like, okay, cool. I want to be here.
I just think...
Oh my god, look at this. The slow death. It's on its Pikachu. He's trying to run. He pops his BKB because he knows that he's not going to be outrunning this Viper.
And we can't forget that DM actually did tip the Lion at the tail end of that fight simply because the Lion died at the start but had the buyback available, utilizing the recall from Keep the Light to get straight back into that fight and to have instant presence. So DM is like, don't worry, buddy, we understand that buyback was good. Positive tips coming out from VP, but also aggressive ones coming earlier on.
Somebody was writing about this the other day, talking about the way that Puppy actually, like, when he goes down and fights, will usually immediately buy back and fight terrible. And that seems like one of those situations where, you know, they think they have the advantage. They're like, okay, it's go time, let's go. But you've got to keep her on the light.
Yeah, numbers advantage is like the biggest kind of reason for aggressive plays. But if you look at that fight, it's they get a Lion pick off, they're running into an area of the map where they don't have vision. Outpost is dire favored. And there's that buyback threat with the Coddle. Like, I think from Unique, if they were maybe a little bit happier with that Lion kill, you know, okay, we accepted. You can't play aggressive for 30 seconds now. Farm for 30 seconds and keep holding this tri-camp area. Like, that is such a scary area to run into with any lineup, especially with VP where they're a little bit slower to move into areas. But once they're fortified, they're very scary. So for Unique, the fact that they left their fortified location, ran into a potential buyback Lion that we've seen in 1,000 games, that doesn't bode well for the kind of the big picture strategy from Unique and how they're trying to win this game. They're hoping for VP just not to be in position. And, you know, we've said it a lot of times now, Viper has boots of travel and Keeper of the Light, bloody bonkers. Disgusting. Recall. Nerf it. Get rid of, you know, get rid of it actually. That's what I want. No. Calm down.
We're going a little too crazy here, T.
I'm a big fan of Keep the Light. It has graced me with much of a mark, but I just don't feel good doing it. You know?
Well, what would you suggest as an actual balancing?
I think Chakra just shouldn't affect recall. The idea that you can recall one guy, mana yourself, and suddenly you're reducing that cooldown. Like, it just needs to be a fixed value. I think that the idea of teleportation globally in Dota is very strong, and any kind of manipulation of that cooldown is going to be overpowered if utilized correctly. So yeah, I think just remove Chakra affecting that. Very helpful.
All right, well, he's summoned in his friend the Lion. Opening the Ravage used on the puck.
Oh, he's dead.
And he's dead, yeah. It does manage to clip over on the side. Ghostik with BKB. Fight going on over on the other side. They managed to go get the Phantasm off. He's kind of damage over here on the Viper. He's going to be silent. Glimmered, though. Buys a little bit more time. Go down the ice wall. It's a beautiful stun coming out from Safe. Gets the finger off. Down goes Palantimos. The rest of them trying to leave. Ghostik man fighting over here with GPK. It's a lot of damage from those little treants, though. Has a couple of those stick charges. We'll just get backed up by the pot. Oh, and Safe comes in with the Impale, the Hex, the Illuminate. They say, you do not get to touch him. He's ours.
Now, if this was a moment, you probably would want to use a tip here because you did just break down a very easy fight. I think this is actually Unique's best chance for a fight. They located the Viper at the very start. The Ravage was, you know, somewhat wasted on just the puck alone, and it did give Unique a good window to try and muscle up into a, you know, 7k deficit fight. But fortunately, the lack of damage and protection really coming to a hindrance to VP. They kind of rush off this kind of engagement instantly into Roshan, and it's rough. They've only got 13 kills in 23 minutes, Like, I would have promised more action and death and destruction, and I got nothing.
I guess you're gonna have to wait for one of the EU days then.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to say though, they are just VP playing this so clean.
It's so methodical. It's like, it's beautiful to watch, but we want to see more, you know, death and destruction occurring across this map. Fair play. You know, they are being extremely ruthless in the non-killing department.
I mean, if you don't need to get a kill, then you don't need to.
Kills are overrated.
Up the Palantimos. The rest of the crew is here. Viper's right. Ornament, hold him into place. The root comes out. Click, click, and down he goes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if you look into CK pick a little bit more, it's the idea that your carry, the CK pick later in the draft, you're playing into a lot of AoE damage. CK likes to thrive when there's a lot of single target spells. Any hero on the side of VP, other than actually even breaking with the Radiance, they all have a way to deal with kind of the ultimate CK, and that's the biggest threat that he brings. So yeah, Unique, they need to keep buying time, but they are doing a pretty good job at just kind of keeping the game going. It doesn't sound good saying it, but they are being kind of annoying. You know, Ghostik playing so deep, you got Puck now sitting behind the tier 2 top. Like, these are the type of plays that you've accepted you can never fight, but if you wait another 15 or so minutes, and you might be able to take that play. VP, they see straight through this, so like, we're not going to play around with this freeway shenanigans. We're just going to go straight to the rack. Trying to force it.
Force it. See that they were trying to cut some of the waves earlier on, trying to buy a little bit more.
We'll turn this tide to our
Hunted, he wants that courier. He'll have to be satisfied with GPKs, who's already delivered the package. Tornado EMP, Bignum winding up. Manages to land the boundless, but look how tanky they are. They just walk away and they say, all right, yeah, that's fine. We'll come back another time.
Biggest counter to the Monkey King is walking. That's all I got for you.
Glad we flew you here, T. I'm really...
This is exactly what, yeah. It's the expert analyst that you pay the big bucks for. Yeah, pretty unfortunate for Unique. I'm really trying to think of a way that they can get back into this game.
We'll turn this tide to our
simply,
advantage.
maybe you can play on the fact that Wraith King doesn't have his shard yet, and he's relying on his BKB plus Keep the Light to be that big kind of mana, but you can play around EMP when he runs up alone. EMP, couple chain stuns, maybe remove Coddle from the engagement. So he misplayed a bit, doesn't have the mana for ultimate, but it's
so many little
reaching.
steps
that you have
to... I think one of the biggest things that would allow Unique back in this game is if somehow Virtus.pro makes some sort of stake, right? They get picked off. They manage to get a couple pick-offs. It opens the door, but they're not going to do that. They don't play that way. The fact that they've got the boots to travel on the Viper, you've got the recall coming out from the Cuddle, they're just always a moment's notice away from one another. In fact, look at this big... Careful. He's taking some burn damage. Pinging out.
Dire's middle tower
Save.
is under attack.
This is what past them.
Guys, I found them. Can we
Dire's
run away to
middle
the other
tower
side of
has
the map?
fallen.
I don't want to fight them.
But they have to eventually. You can't just
Dire's
hide in that
bottom
base
tower
forever.
is
And
under
they
attack.
are doing a great job of being able to cut
Radiant's
these
top
waves,
tower
right? They're
is
trying to be
under attack.
elusive, trying to buy some more time. But the problem is, even though they're buying this time, it's... Oh, Save just finds himself a nature's prophet. And Nightfall is going to find himself a kill. I like how DM was trying... Oh! Horrible!
They do have to win the match though, so that's those bones do. So maybe that pressure alone on the Wraith King could go too much, buckle under the cosmetic pressure that the game is applying to him.
Oh boy, we're reaching now.
I am. I really am.
I'm just surprised that he doesn't have the bones on. That already. Oh my goodness. Right into the arms of the Nightfall.
And now instantly back up to top. Keep the light, just bringing everyone around. Woo, Nightfall.
God, that's terrifying. That's some Dark Souls level scary of just a Wraith King, you know, all the bones hanging out and then just spider legs everywhere.
I just want him to, in one play, actually cut down the tree the Monkey King's on and go, oh, I found him. My play worked.
Yeah, it's been pretty ridiculous the amount of times that Monkey King's been allowed to just do monkey things. Ghostik, spider legs, abyssal blade, and all of his little tree babies. Look at them, they turn around. They don't want to die. They don't want to watch their papa die. Those poor little orphan trees, they're just scarred for life. Luckily, their lives don't last that very long. But
He's now got to the point of the game where VP is lacking tips, utilizing now the all chat voice lines because they just don't have any left in the tank to really store it.
Look at how strong GPK feels he is. He can just walk forward here. Doesn't even have the rest of his
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
It's also DM going for the Solar Crest and the pipe. He's gone for the two big auras required. That this pipe mitigates kind of the pop presence, and then the Solar Crest, it's only physical damage coming out from unique. So it allows for whatever core wants to poke their head up into the high ground to have this contact.
He just rolls on up to the high ground with the finger. Down goes Palantimos. He does have buyback if he would like to go in, but he'll be holding on to it for the time being. Nightfall and DPK chonking away here. Pikachu, look at that damage! It doesn't matter. He has the BKB over on the back line, so there it is. There's that rabbit that we were talking about. The buyback did come out from Palantimos, but already Slayer's dead. DPK does get taken down, though, while all this is going on. Nightfall finds the opening, gets a kill on Bignum. Palantimos now running for his life as Nightfall just chasing them through the base. And it's not looking like this Nature's Prophet is going to survive. It's not looking super great now. It's a rampage now coming out for Nightfall, and the G's get dropped. Double rampage.
That was just absolutely.
Yeah, because also they just got all those bones.
They did all the cosmetic victory. Damn. But yeah, that was a